Welcome. This week's question is about character arcs, one of my all-time favorite topics, and it is from Danielle and Ishmond. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And the question is, I'm having a difficult time distinguishing the protagonist's need from the truth. The truth is the insight she gets unwillingly. The need is the action she must take unwillingly. Help me out. So to understand this, there's two pairs of polarities, two pairs of polarities that we need to understand. And the first is the lie and the truth, and the second is the want and the need. So in a positive, and I'm just going to assume we're talking about a positive change arc. All of these terms would be used in a negative change arc or a flat arc as well, but just a little differently depending on where you want your character to go. But in a positive change arc, the lie represents the limiting belief that the character holds at the beginning of the story and will have to overcome in order to arc and change into a more expanded and therefore usually we'd consider better place by the end of the story. And what he or she replaces the lie with is the truth, which is a thematic statement that emerges from the character arc in opposition to the lie as this more expanded and useful perspective for the character by the end of the story. The want and the need can be seen in some ways as the externalized versions of the lie and the truth, in that the lie and the truth are internal conflict for the character, whereas the want and the need generally will play out more obviously in the external conflict. So the want is usually lie-based, at least in the beginning. It's something that the character wants that is emerging from this limited lie-based perspective. And it may be something terrible, but it may also be something that's, not so bad, and that in fact they will gain by the end of the story, even after they've overcome the lie. Whereas the need is something that's always aligned with the truth. And so in some ways, it could be said that what the character needs is always this thematic truth. It's just simply this perspective change into the new way of seeing himself or the world. However, in most stories, we will have some sort of an externalized need as well, that the character is able to accept or get in the external story world. So just as a quick example, one of my all-time favorite positive change arcs, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Jane's lie that she begins the story with is that love must be earned, that she has to be or do something specific for another person in order to be worthy of love. Obviously, a very limited and limiting perspective, which stands in opposition to the story's ultimate truth that no, love is free, and if it's not, then it's not worth having. And her want throughout the story is she wants to be loved, and more specifically, she wants to be loved by Mr. Rochester. But that stands in conflict to her need, which is in fact to gain spiritual autonomy, personal autonomy, and realize that she doesn't basically have to sell herself to be loved. And that's kind of an arc for both of the characters, if you're familiar with the story. But you can see how they play out within the external plot. So and I think what was said in the question about the truth being something that the character sees unwillingly and the need being something that they gain unwillingly, kind of true, but also not exactly maybe the best way to put it, because it's not that the character maybe can't see the benefit in this other perspective, but they're just so held back by, fear or conditioning or guilt or whatever it may be that has taught them that the lie is in fact a very useful and perhaps, up to that point in their life, the best and most efficient way to see the world. And so the story, the character arc, is a process of overcoming that limited mindset and coming into a place of being quite happy at some level to accept the truth, even if there's great sacrifice involved, even if they do have to sacrifice the want. But very often in stories with a happy ending, the character will in fact be better able to get their want and better able to appreciate and enjoy it once they've embraced the truth. So I hope that's helpful. Obviously, I talk about this a lot in my book, Creating Character Arcs. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out or visit my site at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com. And if you have another question, you can leave it in the comments below and I will answer it in the next video.